I kept hearing people talk about cloud seeding, weather modifications, and these recently declassified government documents. And honestly, I hate when a conspiracy sounds interesting, but when you look into it, there is absolutely nothing there. So I started digging in on this one, and what I found was actually weirder than I expected. Because somewhere on this planet right now, someone is literally making it rain. And no, I do not mean the way the rappers mean it. I mean somebody is flying a plane or piloting a drone over a cloud, spraying chemicals into it, and trying to force that cloud to drop water into a specific place. So the question is, how much of it is normal science, and how much of it sounds insane only because most of us had no idea it was happening? So let me back up for a second and explain what cloud seeding actually is. Because before half of you click off thinking I'm about to go full chemtrails, that's not what this is, so just stay with me. The basic idea is actually pretty simple, which is part of what makes it so unsettling once you think about it. A plane flies up into a cloud and releases a chemical called silver iodide, which gives the water droplets in the cloud something to cling onto. Once those droplets get heavy enough, they fall as rain or snow. And that is essentially the whole magic trick. Now here's the part that messed me up, and this is where those declassified documents come back into the picture. We have been doing this since the 1940s, which means our grandparents were alive while governments were already learning how to control the sky. The US military actually used cloud seeding during the Vietnam War to flood enemy supply routes and slow them down. And the program had a name, Operation Popeye. Those are the documents I was talking about at the start of this video. They are declassified and you can sit down and read them for yourself. This is not speculation. It is not an unverified conspiracy theory. It is 80 years of governments quietly figuring out how to engineer the weather. So the next question I had was, who was funding this? And that's where the story started to take a strange turn. Cloud seeding is currently happening in over 50 countries, with China running the largest weather modification program on the planet by a wide margin. They actually seeded the clouds before the 2008 Beijing Olympics, specifically so that it would not rain on the opening ceremony. And that is not even a rumor, it was an official policy they were openly proud of. The United Arab Emirates spends millions of dollars every year trying to make it rain in the desert. And in April of 2024, they ended up with so much rain that Dubai literally flooded. Cars went underwater. The airport shut down. The whole city basically stopped working for days. And a lot of people pointed straight at the cloud seeding program. The government said it was not them. Sort of. In this very squirrely way that did not actually deny anything if you read it carefully. In the United States, we have 8 states openly doing it right now. Texas, Wyoming, Idaho, Utah, Colorado, Nevada, North Dakota, and California. And all of them have hired private companies to seed the sky over their territory, mostly to boost snowpack or fight droughts. And then on top of all that, there's a new player in the game called Rainmaker Technology. Founded by some 25-year-old and backed by tech investors who are extremely excited about what they are building. Their entire pitch is bringing cloud seeding into the modern era using drones instead of planes and selling weather modification as a service. I want you to actually read that last part again, because it took me a minute to fully process it. Selling weather as a service. We are at the part of human history where the weather itself has a subscription tier, and I do not think most people have caught up to what that actually means yet. Here is the thing that actually keeps me up at night about all of this though. If a private company can make it rain on demand, then that same company can also choose where the rain comes down, and by extension, they are also choosing where it does not come down. So imagine 2 farmers living 1 county apart from each other. One of them pays for cloud seeding and ends up with a great harvest. The other one does not pay and his crops fail. Was that just bad luck on his end? Or did someone quietly nudge the weather a few miles east before it reached him? Honestly, nobody can tell you for sure, because the science is still so new and so localized that proving cause and effect is almost impossible. Ensuing a cloud has never been done before. In China, this has already turned into a real diplomatic problem. There have been actual disputes between provinces accusing each other of stealing their rain. Like literally one province saying to another, "You seeded the clouds before they got to us, and now we are sitting here dry." And that is a real situation that has happened more than once. We are at the point in history where governments are fighting over who owns a cloud, which would have sounded insane to me a year ago, but now feels like the inevitable consequence of where this technology was always going to end up. Now I want to be careful here, because I am not trying to sit here and tell you that every flood you see on the news is a conspiracy. The actual science says cloud seeding can only boost existing weather by about 10 to 15%. So these companies are not creating storms out of thin air. They are just amplifying what was already there. But 10 to 15% is also not nothing. And that is the part people miss. That number is the difference between a heavy rain and a flood. The difference between a snowstorm and a highway shutdown. In 2024 alone, Texas had massive flooding. Wyoming had a record snow year. Dubai went underwater, and every single one of those regions has an active cloud seeding program running. I am not saying the seeding caused any of those events directly, but I am also noticing that nobody running those programs is exactly volunteering data when their region gets hit with strange weather. We just kind of have to take their word for it. So the obvious question becomes, who actually owns the weather? And legally speaking, the answer right now is nobody. There is no international treaty governing cloud seeding, no global regulator overseeing it, and almost no real oversight in most of the countries that allow it to happen. It is basically the Wild West, except the cattle are storms and the cowboys are flying drones. And the whole thing is only going to get bigger from here, because the technology keeps getting cheaper while the players keep multiplying. Drones are replacing planes. AI is starting to predict optimal seeding conditions in real time. Private companies are scaling up faster than governments can even decide what laws to write about it. Within 5 years, this is going to be a multi-billion-dollar industry, and we still cannot answer the most basic questions about it. Like who is responsible when a seeded cloud causes a flood, or who owns a storm system that crosses 3 state lines, or what happens when one country seeds clouds that would have eventually rained on another country. These are not hypothetical questions either. Those lawsuits are already starting to surface in places nobody expected. I started this whole thing expecting to find nothing. I went in thinking this was going to be another one of those rabbit holes that fizzles out into a Wikipedia page in a wasted afternoon. I am not sitting here telling you the weather is fake or that the sky is some big illusion. The weather is real, the sky is real, the rain on your roof is absolutely real. What I am telling you is that the line between natural weather and modified weather is getting blurrier with every passing year. And the people doing most of the modifying are private companies with private investors and almost no public accountability for what they are actually doing up there. So the next time it rains at a weird time or it snows when it really should not, I am not saying it was them. I am just saying it could have been, and nobody can really tell you for sure either way. We used to be able to just look up at the sky and see the weather. Now we kind of have to wonder who paid for it. If you enjoyed this one, hit that subscribe button. It actually helps the channel more than you think it would. I am already working on the next video and I think it might be even weirder than this one, so stick around, there's more coming. See you guys there.